This is Andrew Hodges, forensic psychiatrist and forensic profiler. We're looking at the Natalee Holloway case. We're looking at a 5-page email from Deepak Kalpo written 5 days after the disappearance of Natalee Holloway to a friend. I have talked about how the approach I use reads between the lines. The unconscious mind is brilliant. It always tells the truth. You can't stop it from speaking. If there is communication, it's going to talk. We've looked at how this is a hidden confession of Deepak as he unfolds the entire story of the crime. In the first couple of segments, we noted how the unconscious mind works and speaks in thought print patterns, very much like we have patterns on the end of our fingertips. The unconscious mind patterns thoughts to communicate a major central idea. In this letter, in this email, he answers the 5 or 6 major questions in the case through each with each question he answers through a thought print pattern. So far we've seen, first of all, he promised to tell us a story. He repeatedly used references to story, to the muse, to the truth. He told us the first thing we want to know is Natalee dead or alive. He gave us a repetitive thought print pattern of death. She was missing, she fell down, she fell asleep, it was her last night, and so forth. He then told us what happened. We saw a sexual innuendo rape code. The boys were sharks. He talked about how, and it did this in denial, nothing against Natalee's will, she wasn't nude. He was telling you, this was in the back seat of a car with Iran. He's telling us exactly what happened. And then he painted a picture of her asphyxiating when she was in the middle of the assault. She tried to throw up, she couldn't. She in a way drowned in her own fluids. Now, so we know what happened. We know how it happened. Now we want to know where the body is. Now how's he going to tell us that? We're going to see. He goes through and gives us right off an ocean code. That's the first question. Is she in the ocean? Is she on the land? What happened? We're going to see he gives us an ocean code. How does he do that? He makes references to the ocean. He makes reference to particular striking references to Natalee being filled with fluids. She had a lot to drink, but read that. She's in the drink. Her body now is surrounded by water, by fluids. He makes references to her seeing the sharks. Where are the sharks in the ocean? He makes references to ocean trips. And he makes a repeated reference to the Holiday Inn. And if you look at the code in the email, you can see the Holiday Inn, which was situated on the beach where she was staying right next to the beach. He's telling us the Holiday Inn was code for ocean. This is another more detailed part of the profile. She's in the ocean. What does he tell us next? What do we want to know? Big ocean, how do you find her? He's got to tell us how to find her. So he first tells us she's in a cage, and first of all, she's on the floor of the ocean and she's staying there. How does he tell us that she's in a cage? He gives us container references. He makes references, for example, in his email to bathtubs. Think of somebody in water. He makes references to somebody staying in a particular room in the Holiday Inn, a small room within a larger place. If the Holiday Inn is ocean, a room in the Holiday Inn is a small container. Most strikingly, he makes reference to Natalee being the rumor. Natalee is in a crack house. Read that again. She's in a house, she's in a container with cracks in it, she's on the floor, put it 2 and 2 together. She's in a cage at the bottom of the ocean. There are other references. We could match police interviews, we can match from the 3 suspects, we could match Yaron's book where he wrote the story of his story. We can read between the lines and see this container reference repeated. And then he gives us what else do we need to know? Not only is she in a container in the ocean, but still where? And he gives us clues. He tells us what part of the ocean to look in. He breaks it down to segments between the Holiday Inn and fishermen's huts, which is an area where they picked up the body most likely. They had access to a boat right next to it. And then he gives us directional clues. If you look at the email, go straight out, take a left. It's not far from fishermen's huts. And he does another striking thing. In the very first line of the letter, he gives a geographical clue. He makes a slip. Natalee Holloway, Hollaway. He's telling us she's gone away and she's in a hole. There's a fascinating thing about Aruba. There is a 300-foot, you go out 3 miles to 300 feet, and then at 300 feet, at 3 miles, it drops suddenly to 800 feet, to 1,000. You go out another half mile, it comes back to 300. There's a trench, basically, that runs in front of Aruba on the ocean floor. I think that's what he's telling us, that she's in that hole. Also, he makes reference to there being no cameras in the Holiday Inn, meaning you can't see underwater. It's a reference to visual reference. So I think he's trying to tell us she's deep. She's at a very particular place as you go out from the Holiday Inn and the Fisherman's Huts, and I think we'll find her body there. As we know, there's an ongoing search for her body. I think the search will be successful. Again, if you want to stay tuned for other comments down the road by me, you can also visit my website, forensicthoughtprints.com. Thank you.